studying in Achievers International Public School, Sathanuru, Mandya. Now I'm here to give you some information about the chapter How, Where and When. Firstly, let us know how do we periodize a time in history. We periodize a time in history in order to characterize it into different periods on the basis of some significant events that had happened in those days. This classification of time into different periods in the past is known as periodization. It was important for history as it helps us to reflect our ideas quickly about the happenings and the changes from one period to the next period. James Mill. According to James Mill, all Asian societies, including Indians, were having lower level of civilization than Europe. It was necessary to introduce the European manners and etc. Before British came to India, Hindu and Muslim rulers ruled the India or they controlled the India. Society was then dominated by the religious intolerances. James Mill, he wrote a book called A History of British India. Yes, James Mill's investigation or the periodization of history justified the British rule in India. A History of British India, which was written by James Mill. He classified or categorized Indian history into three periods: Hindu, Muslim and British. He thought that all Asian societies were at a lower level of civilization than Europe. Mill suggested that before British came to India, Hindu and Muslim rulers controlled or ruled the India. Then, some factors such as the caste taboos, religious intolerances and superstitious practices dominated India's social life. Mill suggested that British should conquer all the territories of India as it was necessary to introduce the European manners, arts, institutions and laws for the enlightenment and happiness of Indians. Coming to the last topic, it is the sources that historians used for history of writing India. They used three sources, for example, records of British administrations, surveys and other sources. Firstly, let us talk about the records of British administrations. The official records of the British administration are the significant sources of history. The official records of the British administrations include the information about every investigations, instructions, plans, policy decisions, agreements, etc. Surveys. The practice of surveying became common under the colonial period or the British administration. By the early 19th century, detailed surveys were carried out. Revenue surveys were done in the villages to know about the cropping patterns, flora, fauna, soil fertile, local histories, then about the topography, etc. There are many types of surveys. For example, botanical surveys, zoological surveys and archaeological surveys, etc. These were also conducted in the villages. Other sources such as in history, it includes the diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and the travelers, autobiographies of some important personalities and the popular booklets in the local bazaars. So this is all about the information I have given you about the chapter How, Where and When. Thank you for your precious time. Wishing you an informative day.